Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today I'm taking a look at my top 10 Polyomino games. Polyomino games are games which use polyominoes, which are like dominoes, but they're shaped more like Tetris shapes is the best way to describe these. There are a lot of these games that exist right now, and what I would say here is that I picked games where the polyomino part is a major function of the game. So this leaves out a game, for example, like Zaya, which is a game I like a lot, but the polyomino where you put different pieces in your spaceship as you fly it around, that's an important part of the game, but it's not the main part or even close to being the main part. It's kind of like just something that happens in the game. So Zaya's not on this list. However, I did have problems. There's a lot of great games that meet this category. And there's some games that I was like, I don't know if it fits in here or not, but these are 10 great ones, so here we go. My number 10 polyomino game is Cartographers. Now this one, you actually don't have the shapes, you draw them. But this is what we call a draw and write game. You flip a card over and it will show you some different shapes, and you'll pick one of those and draw it onto your sheet. You're making a map, scoring points each game. The points will be scored differently based on some cards that are out there. Maybe you get in this game, you get points for having water and things. There's also monsters that will come up, which you draw on someone else's sheet to mess them up. It's a lot of fun, a really well done game, Cartographers. My number 9 polyomino game is Era. Era has three-dimensional pieces, but they are all different shapes and sizes, and you are rolling dice in this game to get these pieces to be able to build them into the city. I really like the look of Era when it's done, to see these 3D pieces put on there. There are many. I mean, I could have probably made a top 10 3D polyomino type game, but this one fits the list. I like the rolling the dice, getting this stuff, and putting it in the city. This has actually a very similar feel to many roll and write games, except in this one you're rolling and placing big chunky pieces, which I tend to enjoy. My number 8 polytheistic polyomino game is Cutterland. And what I like about Cutterland is you decide the shape of them. Cutterland, you actually are cutting up cards. You get the card, you're going to cut it up, and then people are going to take turns placing that in front of them, building up this grid, this polyominoes, putting them together. This is not the only game where you cut cards up. There's actually another game out, but this is the one I like better. It's unique and it's interesting. That's Cutterland. My number 7 polyomino game is Hall of the Mountain King. Now, Hall of the Mountain King has two halves. One half is this really cool trickle-down effect of getting these different trolls and getting resource off these trolls, but you use these resources to build these different shapes as you build out these tunnels inside this hall. Amazing component quality. Amazing. And a lot of fun to go back and forth as you are trying to use these polyomino shapes to dig these tunnels farther and deeper, sometimes building big rooms, sometimes just tunnels themselves. My number 6 polyomino game is Cosmic Colonies. Cosmic Colonies is pretty simple. You have an area, you're covering it up with various shapes. You want to cover up as much as you possibly can. How do you do so? By getting gems and spending those gems to buy the different shapes. You do that with cards from your hand, but what's fascinating about Cosmic Colonies is when you play a card, each card is different, has cool special abilities. When you play a card, it gets passed to the person to the left of you. So, you know, Susan might have a better card than me, but I know if she plays it, I'm getting it. And then if I play it, then Bob gets it, and so on. Great, cool game. Simple and easy to jump into. Cosmic Colonies. My number 5 polyomino game is Project L. Project L has really nice, cool plastic pieces, and in this game you start with small ones, but you can upgrade them to bigger shapes, and you're simply filling in these tiles. You have these tiles with different spaces, and you fill them in as fast as you can, so you're upgrading to better and more full polyomino shapes, or you're going to draft these different shapes to put them into. It's really simple, but has high quality components, and it's just an easy game to jump into, which, as you can see, is a very strong thing here on my list. My number 4 Polyomino game is Copenhagen. Copenhagen feels very similar to Tetris, although you'll notice Tetris, the board game, is not on my list anywhere. But there is a game like Tetris called Fits, which also didn't make my list. Like I said, there's a ton of these games. But number 4, Copenhagen, you have these buildings, cards that you are collecting. You get enough building cards, you'll turn them in to get the proper polyomino shape, and then you're going to place it there, and you're kind of building this skyscraper, trying to put windows in different positions. Each of the colors will give you a different polyomino shape. Now, there is a Copenhagen roll and write, which is okay, but the board game itself is great, and if you can get that really amazing deluxe edition with the translucent pieces, whew. But it's, again, this is another what I call gateway game, a game that's easy to teach people, get them into the hobby. A lot of fun. That's Copenhagen. My number 3 polygamist polyomino game is Baron Park. Building a bear park. What's more fun than that? In this game, as in many of these games, you want to fill something, and you want to fill this up with these cool little tiles, and you'll be taking these tiles and putting them in your park, building a bear park for people to go. You want to fill it as fast as you possibly can, but get it scoring bonus points and things like that. Phil Walker Harding does a great job at taking games and bringing them down to just a very simple, easy to get into method. And Baron Park is just a fantastic game. You definitely want to check it out. My number 2 polyomino game is Isle of Cats. Isle of Cats is a game in which you are going to an island and you are rescuing cats that happen to be shaped like polyominoes. And you're going to be putting them on your ship. So you have the ship here, and this is a drafting game. You're going to have these cards. You're drafting cards. Many cards give you points. Many cards allow you to collect the cats. And you're filling up your ship with these different colored cats of all different shapes and sizes. And then trying to score points in various ways. Every game is going to play differently. I tend to like drafting games where you have a pile of cards. You want them all, but you can only keep some of them. A really cool game, and I think a lot of people are going to like it with great production values. And my number 1 polyomino game is the most complex on this list, and that's Feast for Odin. I just love this game. And you might say, hey, Tom, this isn't really a polyomino game. It most certainly is. The whole game itself, the whole point of the game is to fill in your area with these different shapes. Now, yes, you do so by placing workers and taking a variety of actions, but all these workers taking actions are getting these shapes, transferring these shapes into better shapes, then placing them into this grid, and you can even buy more grids to place them into. It is a fascinating game. It is more complicated than every other game on this list put together, but it is one of my favorite games. I love it, and a lot of the reason I love it is the satisfaction of putting these pieces on. In fact, I think that's why I like polyomino games, is I like the satisfaction of placing these pieces and putting them together. I remember when I first played Tetris as a kid, we played it the Game Boy versus Game Boy, where if when you finished levels, it would go on your opponents. But that satisfaction of getting that right shaped piece to drop in, that's fantastic, and a lot of these games do that. And like I said, there's lots of games. Tiny Towns is a weird way, but it kind of fits in its category. Number 9, Ohio. Rosenberg has a whole trilogy of games on these. There are so many games in this category, but these are my 10 favorite. What are your favorites? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and these have been my top 10 polyomino games.